Hello everyone, I'm Corey from Croder. As you all know, Croder's hot selling products are Spirit Modular Crankset and the new 2022 Spirit Crank Fitter. Today, I will show you how to install the Spirit Modular Crankset, and I will also introduce the many features of the Spirit Crank Fitter. Without further ado, here we go! Before installation, please check that you have all the parts you need on hand. If there are any missing parts, please contact your nearest Croder dealers or shops to request them. To install the entire crank, you will need the crank arms, axle, spider, and chainring. The first step is to install the chainring on the spider. Today we choose the 4-arm chainring, so it will need to be installed on top of the 4-arm spider. Each brand of chainring has a different torque for the screws. Most of the BCD 110mm chainrings on the market can be installed on the Spirit Spider. However, if you're using a different brand of chainring, it is best to check the locking torque of the screws first. After locking, it will look like this. The second step is to install the whole chainring set on the drive side of the crank, which is often referred to as the right arm. There are 8 screws in total, and we use a T20 hexalobular wrench to lock them in place. Note that the locking torque here is only about 4 to 5 Nm. Once combined with the right arm, it will look like this. In the third step, we insert the axle and push it fully through the bottom bracket. The point to note here is that there is a spacer designed for the bottom bracket. The position of the spacer is placed on the drive side, so it has to be installed like this. Just insert it straight in. Step 4. We have to install the part we just finished assembling on the drive side. Use 8mm hex wrench and start locking it clockwise to the screw hole until it is tight. Then we change to a large torque wrench, also using 8mm hex, and adjust the torque value to 50 to 55 Nm. Lock the crank of drive side to 50 to 55 Nm. After confirming the tighten locking, the installation of drive side is finished. The fifth step is to install the non-drive side of the crank, usually called the left arm. First, turn the preload ring clockwise to fit the left arm, like this. This must be done, otherwise the crank arm may not be fully locked in place, which may lead to a loose fit. Then, as with the right arm, we use the 8mm hex wrench to lock in clockwise. Next, we also change to a larger torque wrench and adjust the torque to 50 to 55 Nm. Make sure it is locked to 50 to 55 Nm as well. After locking, we come to step 6. We can see that there is a gap between the left arm and the bottom bracket of the frame. At this time, we need to start loosening the preload ring. Turn the preload ring to tighten the cap of the bottom bracket. This must fit very well to avoid a gap during the ride. You can also use a plastic mallet to hit the drive side 3 times and repeat the tightening action of the preload ring again. After making sure that the preload ring is firmly attached to the bottom bracket cap, then you can tighten the screws of the preload ring. Now, the installation is almost finished. Before riding, it is recommended to use a torque wrench again to check that all screws are enough tight. By the way, other adjustments to derailleur or the chain link setting involve different conditions for each frame. Therefore, if you have any problems, we recommend that you call a professional bicycle mechanic to help you with the installation. Thank you. Well done! After learning how to install the Spirit Crankset, let's introduce the new fitting product, Spirit Crank Fitter. Spirit Crank Fitter is a crank measurement product that can be operated very easily. The main function is to measure the length of the crank arm you need, and crank length is a very important part of the fitting process. Only with the right crank length, you can really show your pedaling power and smoothness. As now we have installed the Spirit Crank Fitter on this bike, you can see the crank fitter adjustable length range from 140 to 180 mm. Every 2.5 mm is a section. You can do the measurement and experience according to your suitable length, plus or minus 2.5 millimeter. The advantage of the crank feeder is the huge range of crank lengths that you can find on the market. Crank feeder offers you to experience before you purchase the crank. In addition, the crank feeder is available with a plus 4 millimeter Q factor kit. Most riders with Shimano pedals also choose the plus 4 millimeter EXO version, which will allow you to experience before you purchase. Experience a more accurate crank length and pedals at the same time for a more realistic pedaling feeling. What's more, the most important feature of the crank feeder is the outdoor experience. Most of the feeding devices are mainly indoors and pedaling on the trainer. But we believe that a more realistic experience is a better way to confirm your riding feeling. You can use your own bike with our Spirit crank feeder according to the measurements recommended by your bike feeder. After 3 to 5 kilometers riding outside, I believe that you will be able to use our Spirit crank feeder to find your perfect crank. Don't hesitate. Contact your Croder local dealers and shops. Experience it now. Enjoy Croder. See you next time. Ciao.